Anna, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video we are finally doing the RawBeautyKristi and Colourpop collaboration. So I do have it right here. I didn't get the entire collection just because I couldn't afford the entire collection, but I did pick up one of the Super Shock shadows, and this is the color Mycelium, and I did pick up the palette. So I do have both of those here, and then I do have another palette here, which I will be doing a review and a bunch of tutorials up on my channel of this palette in the future. This is the Blow and Smoke palette. I'm very excited for this palette. I don't have anything in my collection that looks anything remotely like this, so I'm very excited for this palette. And I also want to give a shout out to Colourpop for wrapping my palettes so securely and nicely, and there's just a lot of bubble wrap here, and I'm very excited. So we are going to get into this palette. So this is the At Forest Sights palette from RawBeautyKristi and Colourpop. So RawBeautyKristi has literally been wanting to collaborate with Colourpop for the longest time, and I'm so excited that she finally is able to and created such a gorgeous palette. So it does come with a little insert here to keep the shadows safe, and this is what the palette looks like. So up close, this is what the palette looks like. It is incredibly gorgeous, and I am very excited to jump into it. So just looking at this palette, obviously the greens are calling my name. This Evergreen color that has like a duochrome shift to it is calling my name. I really like the gold too, and I think we're gonna do kind of a yellow and green eye look. So I have watched a lot of tutorials on this palette over the last couple of weeks, and I am very excited to do this. So I have already primed my eyes using the Colourpop. This is the Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Creamy Concealer in the shade Fair 5W. It's basically what I use under all of my eyeshadows, so I'm hoping it works well for this palette. So I'm going to go in with a fluffy blending brush, and I think I'm going to go into the color Chanterelle, which is this gorgeous yellow color here. I'm going to put that all into my crease. So the kick up is about normal for Colourpop, nothing too crazy, but if you don't like kick up, just keep that in mind. These shadows do have a little bit of a kick up. So I'm just going to take the color Chanterelle all into my crease. So I built up the Chanterelle color quite a bit into my crease, and these colors, well, the one color that I'm using so far, blended out really easily, and I didn't have a problem with it at all. I really wanted it to be an intense yellow color inside my crease, so I built it up quite a bit, and I do think that this kind of mustardy yellow is really pretty, and I'm very excited to add it to my collection just because I really like mustard yellows, even though I don't use them very often, which I really should because I think they're pretty. So now I'm going to go into a smaller brush, so I'm going to go into my Luxie 237 blending brush. This is the purple handle, and I'm going to go into the color Fiddlehead, which is this almost olive green color, and I'm going to put that into my crease as well. And I'm just going to put that in my lower crease, just in this area. Now I'm going to take a fluffier blending brush, so probably the same blending brush that I used for the yellow color, and I'm going to go into Fiddlehead, which is that green color, and I'm just going to blend out those colors a little bit more with a fluffier brush. Alright, so now on the outer corner, I'm going to go into a tapered blending brush, which is my 131 mini angled brush, and I'm going to go into the color Emerald City, which is this really gorgeous green right here, and I'm just going to put that on the outer corner, and I'm going to mix in a little bit of the Fiddlehead color into it just to blend those colors together nicely and bring that Emerald City color up into my crease a little bit. I may deepen this outer corner a little bit more just by using the color Let It Rain, but I haven't decided quite yet. I'm just bringing this emerald color up into my crease and putting it on the outer corner. I'm going to go in with my fluffier brush, and I'm just going to blend those colors together. I'm going into the color Fiddlehead right now, and I'm just going to blend those colors together. So I'm going to go into the color Let It Rain, which is this sequency kind of black sparkle color, and it does have a lot of fallout. So I'm just going to put that on the outer V and blend it into Emerald City by just using a little bit of Emerald City just on the outer corner. So I've never actually used any of Colourpop's sequence shadows before. I've only really ever seen them in tutorials on YouTube, and a lot of people like them and a lot of people hate them. So I was very curious to see what my opinion was going to be on them, which is why I wanted to use it tonight. So I'm just adding a little bit of Emerald City on top, and then I'm going to go in with a blending brush and just blend those colors together really lightly. All right, so this color story is really fun. I really like the yellow and the green mixed together. It is kind of getting a little bit muddy in the crease, but that's probably something that I did. It's probably not the shadows, so I'm not too worried about it. I will just add some of the shimmer colors. So I'm gonna go into the Nyx Glitter Glue right now, and I'm just going to take some onto my finger and just tap it on my inner corner and half of my lid where I want the shimmer shadows to go. I'm going to take a small shader brush from Lexi, and I'm just going to tap the glitter glue that I have extra on my hand in the areas where I want it. I find that having a tacky base when you're putting shadows down works a lot better than using a wet brush with setting spray. I find that when you use a wet brush with setting spray, you run the risk of ruining your eyeshadows, in my experience at least, and I don't like to do that. I used to use the Urban Decay setting spray all the time on a brush to make my brush wet and then go in, and I just found that a lot of my formulas didn't really like that. So I'm going to go into the color Evergreen, which is that duo chrome color. I'm very excited to try it, and I'm going to put that all over my lid. Wow, that's really pretty. In certain lighting it's green, in certain lighting it's gold. That is really gorgeous. So I'm just tapping it very lightly on top of that outer corner color. It's not really sticking that well just because there isn't really a tacky base on that part. So I may go in with a little bit more extra just of my glitter glue, just a tiniest little bit, and I might just tap it on top of my outer corner shadow just so some of the shimmer will stick. There we go. And now I'm going to go over top of where we put that shimmer down with just a little bit more of the color Emerald City mixed with Fiddlehead, just to bring back some of the matte and make that color stand out a little bit more. I do think that this is really pretty. So I'm just going to take a little bit of the Chanterelle color, which is that yellow, just on my blender brush and just go to town, blending out my crease a little bit more, just so that it isn't so harsh. And I'm going to take a little bit of Fiddlehead and just go into where we put it into my crease, the lower crease part, and just bring that color up a little bit more as well. And I think that looks really pretty. So this isn't usually a look that I do. This is more grungy, but I do think this is really pretty. I do like the colors. All of the shadows worked perfectly fine. The muddiness that I experienced basically is my own doing, just because I am not that great at eyeshadow yet. But also the fallout, keep that in mind. There is quite a bit of fallout with this palette, which I think is pretty standard for Colourpop shadows. I think they're very pigmented, so it creates a lot of fallout. So keep that in mind. But I'm going to quickly go recreate this on the other eye, do my foundation, my concealer, and all of that off camera, just because you guys don't need to see me doing that. It's very standard. I'm really not using any new products. I am going to be using the Purely's BB cream. I am going to be using the Colourpop concealer mixed in with maybe a little bit of my Dose of Colors concealer that I got in my BoxyCharm. And then everything else is the same. I'm going to be using probably the Jaclyn Hill highlight. Actually, no, I'm going to be using the Super Shock shadow probably as my highlight in my brow bone today, and then I will probably use my Jaclyn Hill highlighter as my highlighter because that's usually what I use. But I'm going to quickly go recreate this on this eye, and I will be right back. And no surprise there, I screwed up this eye so bad when I was doing my eyeliner. I had to redo it off camera, so redid it. So this is a very easy look to do. It literally didn't take me very long to fix this eye and redo it, and then I redid this eye, but it was a whole ordeal. My winged liner was so fucked up. I don't know what I was doing. So now it is time to play around with the Super Shock shadow. I've never actually used one of these. I think I've tried their Super Shock highlights before, a very long time ago. Let's see what I have here. So this is, oh no, I do have their Super Shock shadows. So I do have a couple very old ones. So a very long time ago when I first got into makeup, so this was in 2017, I ordered the Kathleen Lights collaboration with Colourpop. So this is a couple shadows that I ordered during the time that I first started playing around with makeup. So I have the Super Shock Shadow Come Clean, which is this really pretty gold. I have Kelp Me, which is very broken, and it was like a pink kind of orange, I guess kind of coral color. Then I have Monkey Business, which was a red shadow, and the color Banana Daiquiri, which was this really pretty teal color. I don't know why I don't use these. These have literally been in the back of my drawer for so long that I completely forgot that I own them. So now I have a new one to add to the collection of shadows that I never use, but I'm hoping I use this one more than those ones because now I kind of know what to do with eyeshadow a little bit. So this is the color Misellum. So it's really pretty. It's this really gorgeous kind of champagne color, and I'm very excited to try it. Just dipping my finger into it. It's this really pretty gold color, and I think that's really gorgeous. It's a very, very pretty color. So I want to go in and do my brow bone with this Super Shock shadow. So I'm just taking a pencil brush and I'm just gonna go into my brow bone. So I think this is the type of shadow that you would really need a tacky base for again. So maybe I will go into my inner corner and lay this down, and then I'll go over top of my brow bone area with a highlighter, just because it's not really showing up as intense as I was hoping it was going to. So I just added this Super Shock shadow to my inner corner, and I think that made this look really pretty. It's a very pretty gold color. But again, it's not really showing up that well without a tacky base down. So you may just need to lay a tacky base down to have it show up, which is fine. So I'm gonna go into, do I have any highlight shades in here? No, I really don't. So I'm gonna go into my Jeffree Star Platinum Ice palette, and I'm just gonna go into the color Canary Bling because it's a kind of a yellow highlight color. And I'm just going to add that into my brow bone. I'm going to mix a little bit of Ice Cold in there as well, just because I like a really, really white blinding highlight. So just going into my brow bone. I wanted to keep the highlight a little bit more warm today just because this eye look it has a lot of warm colors in it. And I really like the way that this turned out. I think this is really pretty. So now for my highlight on my cheeks, I'm going to go in with probably just Ice Cold. And I'm just going to apply it to my cheeks because it's already in my hand. So now that my highlight is done, it's a very pretty ice cold highlight. It's called Ice Cold. And then my brow bone is done and my inner corners are done. I do think that this look turned out really pretty. So I'm going to do something kind of similar to what I did on the top on the bottom. So I'm just going to go in with a fluffy brush. So I'm going to go in with my tapered blending brush, the Luxie 131 mini angled, and I'm going to go into a little bit of chanterelle and just very, very, very carefully place that underneath my waterline. And I'm going to mix a little bit of Fiddlehead into it. My camera keeps stopping tonight and it's very obnoxious. I don't know why it's doing that. So now that those colors are laid down, I'm just going to go in with my fluffy blending brush with very little product on it, and I'm going to take a little bit of chanterelle and just bring in a little bit more of that yellow and blend those colors together. So that looks really pretty. I really like the way that this turned out. So I'm going to do the same on this eye, just using my fluffy brush, just taking a little bit of chanterelle and then Fiddlehead. I think that looks really pretty. So I'm going to quickly go do my mascara, my waterliner, and grab my wig, and I will be right back. Alright, so I am back with my finished look complete. So I used my Wig is Fashion wig from Wig is Fashion, and I paired this look with my lipstick from Lime Crime in the shade Salem. So I think this brown lipstick just went really well with this eye look, and my yellow kind of mustardy hat went really well with this eye look, and I just really think this looks great. So I'm very impressed with the At Forest site from RawBeautyKristi and Colourpop. I knew I was going to like this palette because I've seen tons of reviews and tons of people have already raved about how much this palette is amazing, and the formula of Colourpop is usually pretty great. So I would say that that the Super Shock shadow works a little bit better if I used my finger. So I went in with my finger just off camera and I touched up the inner corners just with the Super Shock shadow just on my finger, and it worked a little bit better. But I would say I'm not really that impressed with the formula of the Super Shock shadows because I was having a hard time getting it to show up on my skin with a brush, and I kind of like to use brushes. So I wasn't that impressed with the Super Shock shadow, but that is the Super Shock shadows in general. I really don't use them that much, as you guys already saw. I have a bunch of them. I have 5 of them now, but I have 4 of them that I like literally never pick up because I'm just not a big fan of them. But I did want to pick this one up because I thought the color was really pretty. The palette itself is very gorgeous. I'm very excited to continue playing around with this. I will do an IGTV in the future, and I will do another tutorial on this palette, probably playing with the blues and maybe some of the purples, just because this palette is so gorgeous. I really wish there was another multi-chrome pigment in this palette, maybe like a pink or something. That would be perfect. I think the multi-chrome shadow that I have on my eye right now is just absolutely gorgeous, and I'm very excited to continue playing around with this palette. I do think that this palette has a very lovely color story, and I do think that this is a little bit in between being wearable, so neutrals, and colorful. I do really like that. So I do think that this palette is very different than her Pure collaboration with Pure. I do think that this palette has a lot of really fun colors and a lot of really different combinations that you can create really lovely looks with, and this one is a little bit more simplistic. I think that this one is more, if you were going for a wearable everyday kind of look, you can reach for this palette a little bit more than this one, just because this one does have the really colorful side that may scare some people. I do think having the touches of the greens and the blues in here made this a neutral palette with just a little bit of Kristi in there, and I do really like that. I do think that the 2 shimmers are really gorgeous, and I do really like the black shimmery color, that one that everybody seems to not really be that impressed with Colourpop. They really don't like the, I don't even know what it's called. It's like I think I said it somewhere in the video already. I think it's like, it's a shimmer, but it's a matte at the same time, and some people just really don't like that. But I thought it worked fine. I didn't think that the shimmer really transferred that much in the eyeshadow though. When I put it on the outer corner, it didn't really show up. So it's just kind of pretty to look at. But in general, I do think that this eyeshadow look turned out really pretty. I do think that this palette is worth the money. It's very inexpensive. I will post it right here on the screen for you guys because I don't remember how much it was because I bought multiple things when I was purchasing this palette. But I do think that Colourpop did a very good job with this collaboration with Kristi, and I do really want to support Kristi, so that's why I purchased it. So now I have both of Kristi's babies, and I'm excited because my collection of Kristi's stuff is now complete for now. So I really do think that this look turned out really gorgeous. I do really like the way that the shadows blended, and the pigmentation of the shadows is amazing. So I am very impressed. This is just a first impressions though. It's not really a review because I can't really review something that I'm only trying once. So I will do more looks in the future and give you guys my final thoughts in another video. But as for right now, I do think that this palette worked really lovely, and I'm very impressed. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys did enjoy this video, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below for more content like this, and I will see you guys at the next video. Bye!